Have you ever found yourself struggling with how to end your story? It's a question we've all grappled with at one point or another. The resolution of a tale, the final sentences that tie up the loose ends, is a crucial aspect of storytelling. It's the last impression we leave with our readers, the final taste on their literary palate. Crafting a satisfying ending, however, is no easy feat. It requires finesse, contemplation, and a keen understanding of the narrative's established elements. So, are you ready to learn how to avoid the common traps writers fall into? Let's dive into the 10 pitfalls to avoid when crafting your story's ending. Pitfall number 1 is the rushed ending. Imagine this. You're on a roller coaster experiencing the thrill of the ups and downs, the twists and turns. The ride is exhilarating and you're on the edge of your seat. But then, all of a sudden, the ride comes to an abrupt halt. There's no slow descent, no final loop, no climatic finish. It's over, just like that. That's what a rushed ending feels like. It's abrupt. It's unsatisfying. It leaves you wondering what just happened. When crafting a story, the ending is just as important as the beginning. It's the final note, the closing statement, the last chance to leave a lasting impression on your readers. But a rushed ending can rob the story of its impact. It can leave readers feeling cheated, as if they've been deprived of a satisfactory conclusion. So, how do you avoid this pitfall? Take your time with the resolution. Don't rush it. Let the story unfold at its own pace. Let the tension build up. Let the characters develop. Give your readers the closure they need, the resolution they crave. A well-crafted ending can make a good story great. It can tie up loose ends, resolve conflicts, answer questions, and leave readers with a sense of fulfillment. It can evoke emotions, provoke thoughts, and inspire conversations. But most importantly, it can leave readers wanting more, eagerly anticipating your next masterpiece. So, as you craft your story, remember this. The journey is just as important as the destination. Don't rush the ending, savor it. Let it unfold naturally, let it resonate with your readers. Because a well-paced ending is not just an ending, it's a culmination of all the moments that led up to it. Remember, a well-paced ending is as crucial as a compelling beginning. The second pitfall to avoid is Deus Ex Machina solutions. Now you might be wondering, what exactly is Deus Ex Machina? Well, it's a term that originates from the world of ancient Greek theater. In storytelling, it refers to a sudden, unexpected solution that resolves a seemingly unsolvable problem, typically introduced from a source outside of the story's established framework. Here's why it can leave readers feeling cheated. Imagine investing your time and emotions in a thrilling mystery, only to have the final puzzle piece fall from the sky, completely unconnected to the clues you've been following. It's a bit like running a marathon and then being told you could have just taken a shortcut. It undermines the journey. So how do you avoid this pitfall? The key is to build upon established elements of your story. If there's a problem to be solved, make sure the solution is rooted in the narrative you've been weaving, not plucked from thin air. This could mean foreshadowing the solution early on or having characters use their established skills or knowledge to overcome obstacles. Remember, the audience is on this journey with your characters. They want to see the characters solve their problems using their own abilities, knowledge, and the resources available within the world you've created. It's this struggle and eventual triumph that makes stories compelling and satisfying. A satisfying ending comes from the story's established elements, not sudden, unexplained solutions. The third pitfall is leaving plot lines unresolved. This can be like setting up a punchline and then forgetting to deliver the joke. It's frustrating, isn't it? Imagine your readers flipping through the pages waiting for answers only to find none. That's how it feels when plot lines are left hanging. Unresolved plot lines are like loose threads in a finely woven tapestry. They distract from the overall beauty of the work and leave the viewer, or in this case, the reader, dissatisfied. They might wonder, what happened to that intriguing subplot? Or, what was the point of introducing that character if they just disappeared? This can lead to readers feeling cheated, as if they invested their time and emotional energy into a story that didn't fully deliver. But let's not confuse unresolved plot lines with deliberate ambiguity. Ambiguity, when done well, can be a powerful tool, leaving readers to ponder and interpret. However, leaving major conflicts unresolved is a different story. These are the conflicts that the story promised to resolve, the ones that kept the readers turning the pages. Providing closure for major conflicts is crucial. It's the payoff for the reader's journey through the narrative. Closure doesn't always mean a happy ending, but it does mean an ending that feels complete. It's the moment where all the pieces of the puzzle fit together, and the reader can sit back, take a breath, and think, ah, so that's how it all comes together. A satisfying ending ties up the main plot lines, leaving no major questions unanswered. It rewards the reader's investment, and it's the final touch that can transform a good story into a great one. Pitfall number 4 is a lack of character growth. Imagine reading a book where the main character remains exactly the same from the first page to the last. It's like watching a flower that never blooms. It's not very engaging, is it? That's because character growth forms the backbone of compelling narratives. Readers want to see characters learn, change, and evolve as they navigate through the story. Now let's dive a bit deeper into why a lack of character growth can disconnect readers. When characters don't grow, they become stagnant and predictable, and that can lead to reader disinterest. Readers love to see characters struggle, learn, and ultimately grow from their experiences. It's this growth that makes characters relatable and memorable. So how do we effectively show character growth throughout our story? Here's a tip. Make sure the growth is gradual and consistent. A character who starts as a coward, for instance, shouldn't suddenly become brave without any build-up. Instead, show them gradually overcoming their fear through a series of events and decisions. Another tip is to tie the character's growth to the story's central conflict. The character's journey to resolve the conflict should also be a journey of personal growth. Perhaps they need to overcome a personal flaw or learn a valuable lesson to reach their goal. And remember, character growth isn't always about becoming better. It can also involve a character becoming worse or simply changing in a significant way. The key is to make the growth natural, believable, and tied to the story's events. Remember, your characters should evolve with your story. The 5th pitfall is excessive exposition. Now, exposition in itself is not a bad thing. It's necessary to provide the reader with important information about the story's world, characters, and events. But when it becomes excessive, it disrupts the flow of the story. Exposition should be like seasoning in a dish, just enough to enhance the flavor, but not so much that it overpowers everything else. Imagine you're at the end of a brilliant mystery novel. You're on the edge of your seat, turning pages with bated breath, and suddenly you're hit with a lengthy explanation of the villain's entire life story. It's like hitting a speed bump at full speed. It breaks your immersion and hampers the momentum of the story. So, how do you balance exposition with action and dialogue? Well, the key is to weave it into the narrative naturally. Instead of dumping all the information at once, spread it out. Let characters reveal it through their actions and interactions. Show, don't tell. Remember, dialogue can be a powerful tool for exposition. It allows characters to convey information in a way that feels organic. A conversation between two characters can reveal much more than a block of descriptive text. In conclusion, while exposition is necessary, it's crucial to keep it under control. Too much of it can turn a gripping ending into a tedious lecture. So, sprinkle it throughout your story, mix it with action, and use dialogue effectively. A well-balanced ending is engaging and keeps readers invested. Scene script. Pitfall number 6 is unearned resolutions. Imagine watching a marathon. You're at the finish line, and here comes the last runner. They're sweating, panting, their muscles are screaming. But just as they're about to cross the finish line, a car pulls up, and they hop in, riding the last few feet in comfort. How would you feel? Cheated, perhaps? That's exactly how readers feel when they encounter an unearned resolution. An unearned resolution is when a character achieves their goal without the necessary struggle or development. It's like a magician who pulls a rabbit out of a hat without first showing it's empty. It's a shortcut, and it robs the audience of the satisfaction of seeing the characters earn their victories. So, how do we avoid this pitfall? By making our resolutions earned and satisfying. This means our characters need to struggle, fail, learn, and grow. They need to face challenges that test their mettle, push their limits, and force them to evolve. Their victories should be the natural result of their actions and decisions, not a gift from the author. And remember, the bigger the challenge, the more satisfying the victory. If your character is trying to save the world, they should face world-sized obstacles. If they're trying to win a baking contest, they should struggle with the perfect recipe. The key is balance. Make the challenge fit the goal, and make the victory fit the challenge. Make sure your character's victories are earned, not handed to them. The 7th pitfall is contrived endings for sequels. Now let's talk about why this can weaken the impact of your story. Sequels are a common element in storytelling, especially in the realms of fantasy, science fiction, and mystery. They offer the opportunity to continue a narrative, develop characters, and explore new themes. But a common mistake writers make is crafting a contrived ending for the sole purpose of setting up a sequel. This can lead to an ending that doesn't feel organic to the story. It might seem forced, out of place, or even unnecessary. And this can leave readers feeling unsatisfied, as if they've been cheated out of a complete story. This is because the ending doesn't serve the story itself, but rather, it serves a potential future installment. So, how can we avoid this pitfall? Well, it's about balance. Your story needs to offer a satisfying conclusion while still leaving room for continuation. This means resolving the main conflicts and themes of your story, showing character growth, and providing closure. At the same time, you can hint at future developments, unanswered questions, or new conflicts that could be explored in a sequel. But remember, these hints should be subtle and woven into the fabric of your story. They shouldn't overshadow the current narrative or feel like a blatant setup for a sequel. Instead, they should feel like a natural extension of the world and story you've created. Above all, your story should stand on its own, even if it's part of a series. A story that relies too heavily on its future installments risks losing its own identity and impact. So, make sure your story is complete in itself, even as it hints at more to come. Pitfall number 8 is inconsistent tone. Picture this. One moment you're reading a gritty noir detective novel, and then suddenly it's a slapstick comedy. Or imagine a heart-rending drama that abruptly turns into a light-hearted romance. Sounds disconcerting, doesn't it? That's because an inconsistent tone can confuse and distance readers. Tone sets the mood and atmosphere of a story. It's like the music in a film. It subtly guides the reader's emotional response. If the tone keeps shifting without reason, it's like listening to a symphony where the instruments are out of sync. It's jarring and can pull your reader right out of the story. So, how can you maintain a consistent tone? First, understand your story's core. Is it a dark thriller, a whimsical fairy tale, a deep philosophical exploration? Once you've established this, let it guide your narrative choices. That's not to say there's no room for variation. A thriller can have lighter moments, a fairy tale can have somber elements, and philosophical explorations can have bursts of humor. The key is to make these variations feel organic, not forced. They should flow naturally from your characters, their actions, and their world. Remember, consistency in tone doesn't mean monotony. It's about creating a coherent, immersive world that feels real and believable. It's about making your readers feel they're in safe hands, that you as a writer know where you're taking them. A consistent tone keeps your readers engaged and immersed in your story's world. The 9th pitfall is a lack of emotional resonance. And this, dear friends, is a cardinal sin in storytelling. Why, you may ask? Well, because stories are, at their core, an emotional journey. They're not just about the plot, the characters, or the setting. They're about how all these elements come together to make us feel something. When your narrative lacks emotional resonance, it risks feeling disjointed. It's like listening to a song where the notes are all correct, but there's no soul, no emotion in the performance. It leaves the audience feeling unsatisfied, as if they've been served a meal that looks good but lacks any flavor. So how can you ensure that your story resonates emotionally with your readers? The first step is to understand your characters deeply. Know their strengths, their weaknesses, their dreams, and their fears. When you understand what drives them, you can craft a narrative that challenges them, that pushes them to their limits and beyond. Next, don't shy away from the big moments. These are the moments that test your characters, that reveal their true selves. And they're also the moments that will make your readers feel something, whether it's joy, sorrow, fear, or hope. Finally, remember that emotional resonance is not just about the big moments. It's also about the small, quiet moments, the moments of introspection, of reflection. These are the moments that allow your readers to connect with your characters on a deeper level, to see themselves in your characters. Remember, your story is not just about what happens. It's about how what happens affects your characters and how it makes your readers feel. Your ending should resonate with your readers on an emotional level. The 10th and final pitfall is neglecting themes and symbols. Themes and symbols are like the invisible threads that bind your story together, giving it a deeper meaning and a more profound impact. When these elements are neglected, especially towards the end of a narrative, the story can feel disjointed or incomplete. Themes are the big ideas that resonate throughout your story. They're what your story is really about, beyond the surface-level plot. They could be universal concepts like love, betrayal, or the struggle for power. When you neglect to tie in your story's themes into its ending, you risk leaving your readers feeling unsatisfied or confused, as if a promise made at the start of the story was left unfulfilled. Symbols, on the other hand, are objects, characters, or events in your story that represent something else. They're powerful tools that can add layers of meaning to your narrative. For instance, a recurring symbol in your story might be a broken watch, symbolizing the idea of lost time or missed opportunities. If this symbol is then ignored or forgotten in the story's conclusion, it's like an unfinished sentence in a conversation. It leaves your readers hanging, wondering about its significance. So, how do you prevent this pitfall? Make sure to weave your themes and symbols into your story's ending. They don't have to be in your face or overly obvious. In fact, subtlety often works best, but they should be there, enhancing the narrative, adding depth and richness to the conclusion. Remember, a satisfying ending doesn't just wrap up the plot. It also resonates with the themes and symbols established throughout the story, giving readers a sense of closure and completeness. Themes and symbols can add depth and richness to your story's ending. So, these are the 10 pitfalls to avoid when crafting your story's ending. Let's quickly recap. Be sure to avoid rushed endings, take your time to wrap up your narrative. Steer clear of Deus ex machina solutions. They can often feel like cheating. Tie up all your unresolved plot lines. Nothing frustrates a reader more than loose ends. Show growth in your characters. It provides a sense of progression. Cut down on excessive exposition. It disrupts the flow of your story. Make your resolutions earned. It creates satisfaction. Avoid contrived endings for sequels. It weakens the impact. Maintain a consistent tone throughout your story. It keeps your readers engaged. Evoke emotional responses. It makes your story resonate with the readers. And finally, incorporate your themes and symbols. It makes the narrative feel cohesive. Remember, a well-crafted ending can make your story unforgettable.